What is up, guys? It is Schnapper here with the WNBA collector community. We're going to try something new with the NCAA women's basketball recap. We're going to look at the last week of NCAA women's basketball, break it down, talk about it, and then check out the rankings at the end. So I think you guys might know with what school and who we're starting with just by the cover, but let's get going with it. So yes, we are talking about USC and Juju Watkins. How can you not? USC defeated Penn State last week, 71-70. They stay a perfect 5-0, and I mean, how can you not talk about Juju Watkins, guys? She is absolutely a star, and she is shining bright right now. In this one against Penn State, 31 points, 12 boards. She shot 45% from the field. She had a big three-pointer down the stretch to get the Trojans back within one. She had the late game winning bucket, or go-ahead bucket, right? She had a quick first step, beat her defender, and got through two more defenders down in the lane. Had a nice touch off the glass, got it to go, right? Gave USC the lead 71-70 with a few seconds to spare. I mean, USC has something special with Juju Watkins. I think that saying that is the least amount of things you can say. Like, we could talk about Juju Watkins and what she's done in the 5 games as a freshman forever, right? I mean, let's look at it. Right now, she's averaging 26 points, 8 boards, 3 assists, 2 steals, and a block in her first 5 games as a freshman. Want to reiterate, y'all, she is a freshman, right? Not only that, but this game ties her with Lisa Leslie for the most 30-point games in school history. So we are watching history. It's already happening before our eyes with Juju Watkins. But not only are we watching history be made, we are watching history be broken. Juju Watkins will take that record from Lisa Leslie this year. I mean, we are 5 games in. She is averaging nearly 30 points right now. She's going to get another. She's going to get another. But USC, I don't think we can talk about how special Juju Watkins is. She is really setting the NCAA on fire, and rightfully so. She deserves it. And yeah, she absolutely went off. So definitely you're going to want to tune into USC games this season. You're going to want to watch Juju Watkins, and yeah, just want to watch her shine, no doubt. So let's go ahead and move on to our next topic real quick. So not a fun topic, but I think we definitely should probably cover it because it's a big deal for women's basketball and the NCAA as a whole, and especially for UConn. So AZ Fudd, though, if you guys didn't hear last week, AZ Fudd was injured in practice. She suffered an ACL tear in her right knee, so she will have to go. She will have to undergo surgery at UConn Health. That will be a season-ending surgery, unfortunately. I mean, came during practice. It's just been a rough string of injuries, not only for UConn but for AZ herself as well. I mean, she was a number 1 recruit coming in I believe 2021, right? She had a foot injury that first year, limited her to only 25 games. Second season as a sophomore, right? She excited to get going, suffered 2 knee injuries that year, sidelined her majority of the year. She played 15 games total. That's within the normal season as well as the tournament. And then this season, she's only played those 2 games, right? 2 games. Unfortunate, right? And then at a practice, the ACL tear will keep her out of this season. So she only gets 2 games this season. So, I mean, it's wild. It's just a string of bad luck. I mean, if you're AZ and you're UConn right now, I kind of feel like you want to just throw your hands up. You're frustrated, right? I mean, you look at going back, zoom out for a second, right? And you look at UConn getting AZ and getting Paige. That was supposed to be the powerhouse, dynamic duo. We were expected to see, amazing basketball come out of UConn. They were going to bring the program, to new levels. Well, maybe not new ones, but come back and revisit those levels, right? Of just championship basketball. And there's no doubt UConn is a good and talented team. But we just haven't seen the AZ Page dynamic duo that everyone wanted to see that. And I mean, just to kind of go back to it, between the 2 injuries of AZ and Page, we've only seen 17 games between the 2 in the last 3 seasons. So I mean, that is a wild stat when I think about how many people were so excited to see these 2 play for UConn together and really see what they can do on the court. And it feels like we're getting robbed of basketball because of injuries, and that's just awful whenever that happens. So it'll definitely be interesting too with the dynamic of Paige potentially going to the WNBA. If she does do that, then that's the last time we've seen AZ and Paige on the court for UConn. So that is an interesting dynamic to this injury too that doesn't even relate to Paige or AZ herself, but that is on the table as well. So we'll see what Paige's decision is. And, definitely for AZ, we want to wish her a good and strong long, healthy recovery. Rehab, it doesn't only take that physical fortitude, but it also takes that, emotional and just mental fortitude too. It gets tougher every time you do it. So, everything goes to her. We're thinking of her. Hope she has a good, strong recovery, and hopefully she can come back next year and play basketball, right? We want to see AZ play, and hopefully we get that to happen. So, all right, let's move on. Still going to keep UConn in the picture, but we're going to be talking about UCLA beating UConn. So, number 2 UCLA took down number 6 UConn 78-67. Let's really talk about it. It was UCLA shooting the ball well. That's what did this. Kiki Rice and Charisma Osborne absolutely shined for UCLA. Kiki was 9 for 15 with 24 points, 11 boards, 8 assists. You had Charisma Osborne 6 for 10 from 3, guys. So she shot over 50% from 3, 18 points. 18 points all came for 3 from her, right? Just insane. UCLA nearly scored half of their points with just the 3 ball alone. They shot 45% from the field, 48% from 3. So UCLA, they were on fire. You can't stop them. You couldn't stop them. And if you look over to the other side of that, right, UConn struggled with shooting the ball. That was the story of the game for UConn. UConn, Aaliyah Edwards, 2 for 12. That's not going to get it done. It's just a rough game for Edwards. Paige was 9 for 23. She had 31 points. That's great, but 9 for 23, not the prettiest night. Really, this was a big test, right? This was one of the first big tests for UCLA this season. Well, they passed with flying colors. I don't think that's in question, but I would like to throw this in, right? The AZ injury happened 3 days before this game. To take nothing away from UCLA, but also kind of throw this back at you guys. Maybe does that injury kind of put a damper on this win? Because if you're UConn, it's not only that you lose AZ on the court, right? But as a team, you've been through so much, right? As I said before, you kind of, if you're UConn and you're going through this, you just want to throw your hands up in the air. And I feel like, obviously you can't do that. They got the toughness to stay through it, but we'll see. I think it's just tough. So I don't want to take anything away from UCLA. Big win here, definitely proving it. They're a top tier team, but I don't know. It just feels weird maybe with that injury. Left a bad taste in my mouth. But we'll have to see. So let's move on, though. Going on to Stanford beating Florida State. So number 4 Stanford beats number 13 Florida State 100-88. The player of this game, you might think Cameron Brink, right? Stanford basketball, gotta be Cameron Brink. Nah, say her name, guys. Kiki Iriafen. She absolutely dominated. She was 14 for 25, super efficient night, 30 points, 17 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 blocks, 2 steals. Checking every single box in the stat sheet, right? Massive performance by Kiki Iriafen. She just, she was talking about how she wanted to come into this season. She hit the weight room during the offseason. She wanted to work on finishing at the rim. Well, that work all paid off because in this game, none of her 30 points came from 3. Everything came from down low and working inside, right? So 100% Kiki Iriafen. She definitely proved to everyone on a big stage in a big game that, she's a hooper. She's no one to be messed with, and you got to take her seriously. She can do literally everything on the court, and she proved it that night. But we got to mention Cameron Brink, too, right? Even though she wasn't the one putting up the points, she was the one making her defensive presence known. She was 7 for 11, so Cameron Brink, absolutely, efficient night from her. 19 points, 9 boards, but I think the big one, 6 blocks. 6 blocks. Absolutely, monster in the defensive. She's just a defensive anchor. I don't think we can say it even better. And she just, there's only so many people, I think, right now in the NCAA that can match what she brings on that end of the court. So, hats off to Stanford. Big win, beating Florida State. And yeah, we'll keep it going, right? Here we go. Going on to Iowa. So number 5 ranked Iowa Hawkeyes beat number 16 ranked K-State. This is a rematch of the earlier in the year we saw K-State take down Iowa. That one was probably one of Caitlin Clark's worst shooting performances, definitely this year. I don't know. I'm trying to think of other poor shooting nights. I know there's definitely been some, but that one earlier against K-State was really, really tough for Caitlin Clark. I think she was 9 for 33 or something. Just an ugly one. This game, though, Iowa came in, took care of business. Caitlin and the crew wasn't going to allow it to happen, right? Clark had 32 points. She shot 7 for 16 from 3, so great night from her. And then that was really the big difference, guys. I mean, really, K-State didn't play bad. They just didn't shoot the ball as well. Like, they just couldn't score when it mattered. I think that's what it came down to. 77-70. I mean, they were in it throughout. But yeah, they struggled. They struggled from the free throw line. And if you look at it, they were 4 from 11 from the free throw line. That's your 7-point difference right there. Let's talk about some players, though. Aoka Lee, right? 18 points, 7 boards, and a block. Really efficient night, too. 61% from the field. So, I mean, you'd think, like, I think that's the thing. You go to Lee, or as well as Sundell, right? Serena Sundell for K-State as well. Really great night from her. Really efficient as well. 18 points, 6 boards, 6 assists, and a steal. 57% from the field, 40% from 3. She shot it well. K-State just couldn't make the shots when it counted, it seemed like. And maybe also, too, like, go to Lee and go to Sundell more. Like, I think that was a big thing, too. They were the hot hand. You go to them more. Maybe this turns around. Also, if you just make your free throws, you tie the game at least. So I think that's a big one for Iowa, or for K-State to work on, right? Got to knock down your free throws if you're going to do anything with it. But yeah, massive win for Iowa. Good comeback win. It's going to keep them, in the top 25, frankly, for sure. Like, or not in the top 25, but in the top 5-10. If they lost this one, I think that would have put a lot of questions on people's mind about this Iowa team. But anyways, big game from Iowa, and even a bigger one from Caitlin Clark. I think we need to talk about that too, because looking at it, she finished the game with 970 field goals. So 970 field goals on her NCAA career. That is going to make her now the active leader among all divisions for points, scoring average, field goals made, 3-pointers made and attempted, free throws made and attempted, assist averages, and triple doubles. So Caitlin Clark now is the active leader in all those stat categories among all divisions. So I mean, it is wild. I know, Caitlin Clark, love her, hate her, whatever you think about her, she can play basketball. Like, I don't think anyone can deny that. She can play basketball, and she's proved it time and time again. And I think that K-State game earlier in the season where she just had an awful, like, atrocious shooting night, she's been incredibly efficient ever since then. So wondering if, like, just the feeling of, hey, I'm Caitlin Clark, I gotta be this person for Iowa. Also, I mean, losing scores too from her team from last year, she's going to even shoot the ball more this year. She shot the ball, I want to say 30 times each game at least this season, it seems like. So that is a wild stat to me. Caitlin Clark is putting up a lot of shots. She's also making a lot of shots, so to be fair. But anyways, hats off to Caitlin Clark. To keep it on the Caitlin Clark story, though, I think we got to talk about this because this happened last week as well, actually over the weekend. So what you guys are looking at is Caitlin Clark over on the right-hand side, shoving an FGU player. So I think this wasn't really talked about a ton, right? But I think Caitlin Clark gets that angel image. She's the darling of, NCAA women's basketball. So, I didn't see this. This is actually a hard clip to find. So, random upload on YouTube was where we got this clip. But yeah, I don't know. A lot of people, I think, question it, right? Was it a dirty play? Was it intentional? Like, it was definitely seems like it was intentional, right? And she did get called for the intentional foul. It was a push foul, right? But yeah, I don't know. It's just an interesting thing. I think that, like, looking at this over and over, like, a lot of people see Caitlin Clark and, like, Angel Reese from last year as this duo, and I think, like, you put them up on a pedestal, and it seemed like the media narrative was, like, Angel Reese is this person that, like, she has this kind of, like, image about her, and Caitlin Clark's this, like, she's the darling of the NCAA, and, like, that's fine. I think, like, media narratives, those are always going to exist, but something that I think, like, does break into it is when we see something like this, when we see the darling of the NCAA shove someone to the floor. I don't know. I like the physicality. I do like the physicality in these games. Also, it's been reported kind of on Twitter and throughout different things that, let me see, it was Aaron Woodson was the player that was shoved down for FGU. So Aaron Woodson, I guess, was calling her names, poking fun at her throughout the game. Watching it, you can kind of see there might have definitely been some stuff on the other end of the floor. Nothing physical, but maybe words were definitely exchanged. So I don't know. Is this just like the heat of the game, right? Intensity of the game? Yeah, I don't know. Maybe Caitlin Clark. I think that's the big thing, is right. I think that this is 100% an intentional action. It's completely unnecessary. But also, I like the fire and the passion. I'm not going to defend her shoving a player. I don't think you should shove players. Maybe a harder bump next time coming down the court. Let them know. But Yeah, I don't know. It's an interesting. So figured we should talk about it, but let's get back to basketball. Let's go back to our last game that we're talking about. It was very hard to find highlights for a few of these games, so we're just going to go with an image up there. But NC State beats the Colorado Buffaloes. You have NC State, number 10 ranked, going through and beating the number 3 ranked Colorado Buffaloes, 78-60. NC State got out to an early lead. They really never let up. They were up 41-26 at halftime, and second half at one point they were up by 27. I mean, NC State just poured it on. So, I mean, that was the big one. Credit to NC State's defense. In the first quarter, Buffaloes were held for 3 for 17 from the field, and for the game, they only shot 32% from the field, and they shot 28% from the three. So, I mean, I think that's where the credit is due. NC State played big defense. Talking about the two players two players from NC to talk about River Baldwin, 24 points, 8 boards, 2 assists, and a steal. She shot 72% from the field. Sorry about that. And you got Azia James as well. Second star of the night, 15 points, 6 boards, 1 assist to go along with it. NC State, though, great game from them. I think that's a huge one that we need to talk about it too, right? They're kind of proven that they can beat anyone. I think that was something coming into November and just the years, like, is this team proven? What can they do? Yeah, well, they can stay perfect. They can go against the top schools, that have beat top ranked teams, and they can take their win and they can be good with it. So NC State continues to ball out, and I'm sure this is going to pump them in the rankings. And speaking of rankings, let's go ahead and check out some of the APs. So these are AP top 25 poll. We're going to see movers and shakers, who goes up, who goes down. So let's just give this a quick scroll and check it out. We got South Carolina coming in perfect 5-0 at number 1. Pretty much that seems on point. Don't think you can argue with that, right? UCLA 6-0, number 2. Think that's fair. I might have said too, that UConn game, it was a big one for him. Maybe some damper on it after the Fudd injury, but for the most part, UCLA, number 2, can't disagree with it, right? Number 3, Stanford, 7-0. Beating Florida State earlier on in this week. I think that proves it, right? They moved up a rank in it. This is where I gotta ask a question. I don't necessarily disagree with it. I think Iowa's played good, right? That K-State game, officiating, poor shooting nights. I think there's a lot of reasons you can say, if you want to come up with excuses, frankly, I think there's a lot of them why they lost to K-State. I think it's interesting though. Like, they didn't lose this week. They're 7-1. I don't know though. With you got USC at 5-0. You still got a perfect team there. If we have other perfect teams, you got NC State still right behind them too. Look at NC State coming in at 5. In my eyes, I have NC State over Iowa. I think NC State has proven themselves time and time again. They've won, they've had big games. They've played against big schools. NC State, to me, is above Iowa. So I think that's an interesting one right here. Iowa coming in number 4, 7-1. That's fine. I think they're in the top 10, no doubt, but maybe bump them down to 6, 7, 8. I don't know. What do you guys think on that? Would love to hear in the comments. But yeah, going through this NC State thing, coming at number 5, 7-0. This is the one big jump. Ranked 10th last week. So coming in beating Florida State, coming in beating Colorado. Colorado was ranked number 3. NC State was ranked number 10. NC State is now number 5. So big jump for them, jumping 5 ranks right there. Coming in behind them at number 6 is going to be USC. USC 5-0. Juju Watkins and the crew. It's a show you can't miss. When there's a USC game on, you got to turn it on and you got to go watch history be made because it's happening right now. So shout out to USC for sure, coming in number 6, proving they're the real deal, right? Moving up 2 in the rankings, coming up ahead of LSU. So we have LSU and Colorado both tied for 7. I kind of agree with it. I think Colorado deserves to fall, right? Ranked number 3 seemed pretty high. Definitely got great players. Don't want to throw any shade. Colorado's definitely looking good, but yeah, we'll see. I think losing to NC State really kind of shows where they are too. Coming in number 7, I think Colorado, it puts them maybe into like a perspective. It kind of also warned them. It's like a warning shot to Colorado and hey, like, you guys aren't unbeatable. It might not be a perfect year for you. You might have to play some tough teams. And I think NC State kind of put them into their place a little bit. So seeing them fall to number 7 seems about right. So coming in Virginia Tech 9, 5-1. They had a big game as well this week. Not moving though in the rankings rankings Texas then rounding it out at 7-0 at the 10 spot. So we'll see. I think UConn is another interesting one. I'm normally going to only cover the top 10 teams just in this quick rundown, but UConn I think is one that we might need to touch on. They fell out of the top 10, lost 5 spots on that one. So I mean, that's a huge drop, right? 4-2, losing to UCLA is definitely going to do something. And now UCLA, you see number 2 ranked still. So yeah, we'll see. But NCAA women's basketball, guys, is a can't miss event right now. I mean, you have this freshman class doing unspeakable, unheard of things, breaking historic records that we haven't seen broken in a long time, right? I mean, it's just wild. So I think that if you're missing NCAA women's basketball right now, you're missing some of the best basketball that's just taking place right now anywhere. Like, definitely tune in when you can. I know it's hard to watch. I know that like all the channels and the fragmentation of where it's on and what it is, it's hard. But you know what? Definitely check it out on social media. Follow things on Twitter. Share things on Twitter. It all helps the league grow. We want to see women's sports as a whole grow, but we want to see women's basketball take off. And I gotta say, I mean, between the people that could come in, to the NBA this year, and then also seeing this freshman class, women's basketball is in really, really good hands. The future is bright, and yeah, I'm just glad to be along for the ride. I'm glad to be here for it, glad to see it, and yeah, that's gonna be it. So I'm just gonna wrap up. We're gonna do this every week. I'm gonna try to do this every week, but that was the first one. So hope you all have a great week, and hope to catch you next time.